welcome back to Guild Wars 2. Today we are working on the second chapter of our Living World Season 3. So the first one is called Taimi's Game. So Taimi calls us back to Radhanovas. She's got something for us to do, to see, to help her with. So once we get back there, we check in, and we have to go through the gate. I don't know if we have to, but that's the direction it wants you to go, so that's the direction I went. I didn't honestly even try to see if I could waypoint in. I don't know why I didn't. So we go talk to her, we see what's up. And then it's essentially just a battle sequence of nonsense. It's not really nonsense, but it's how they transition us from the first part of Living World Season 3 into the next part. Essentially, while we're playing this game, Taimi's, doing all of the research and stuff, and we end up needing to go to the Ember Islands at the very end of the episode, section, part, thing. So yeah, it's just me and Ritlock in like this hologram type of situation, and during that process, Taimi's talking to us about the feedback the computer is giving her and the program. At one point there's kind of a goofy thing that shows up. It was like a clown or something, and Taimi admitted that somebody had been helping her with it, and so it was just destroying a bunch of different little things. Which in and of itself wasn't terrible. Like, in and of itself, the creatures weren't necessarily hard to fight. It was just that it ended up being a lot of them. Swarms are still a pain in the butt, and Taimi's just this wonderful little giant hologram. And she still doesn't have like a new hair in my mouth. She still doesn't have a new Scruffy, so that's why she's not testing it herself, I guess. She couldn't hologram in herself a Scruffy. That would have been pretty cool. So yeah, it was just an interesting little tidbit, and like I said, there's just a lot of like going back and forth after every round, and there's like 4 or 5 rounds of this nonsense. Like, it's really not, I don't know, it was necessary but also kind of drawn out. It really didn't take that long. Like, realistically, I mean, this is a 13-minute video, so it took about 20-ish minutes. If I hadn't died a couple of times, it probably would have been a little quicker. Because death will do that to you. It's amazing what happens when you're not also focused on what you're doing. Yeah. It was weird too, having it all be like a hologrammy type of deal, instead of like actual creatures. And it was all of these destroyer type things that we'll fight more of upcoming later in the season too. So yeah, but so far season 3 of the Living World series is a lot more interesting than season 2. It really, maybe it's because we've already done Maguma and now we're a little bit more invested in the characters like we're supposed to be. So, we want to be there for Bram. We want, to help out Ritlock and Rox. We want to help Taimi succeed in her endeavors. There's just more character connection there. You feel more connected to the characters. It doesn't feel like you're just being dumped into random story, which is what part of my problem with season 2 was, is that it just felt disconnected, especially at first. It tried to connect you to the characters, but it just isn't. Personally, it wasn't that successful. It really tried to force that connection and stuff with Marjorie, especially with her sister and everything going on with that and setting up Marjorie. And it kind of gave a little bit of a backstory to each of the characters, but overall you had just gotten the sense that it was fairly disconnected, and like the end of it sort of connected to Maguma, and like once you were in Heart of Thorns and in Maguma and going through it, you're like, yeah, okay, see why we did that in season 2. It kind of helped the randomness a little bit, but because of how quick the Living World seasons are, it felt a little rushed and just felt very hippity hoppity. Now we're on to the next thing. This is a little bit more connected. We're connected to Heart of Thorns, and we're bridging that gap to Path of Fire. So it's not, because it was hard, because season 2 didn't really feel like it was bridging the gap from the main game. It kind of just, here's the start, and then into Heart of Thorns. But this is just a straight up continuation of our stories in Heart of Thorns. So Glenn's egg gets talked about. We get to see, the conclusion with Bram losing his mother. We get to, well, not the conclusion, but we get to help bridge that gap with his grief. We interact with Ritlock quite a bit in this. He's pretty much a solid companion throughout so far. This is obviously only chapter 2, but Ritlock's pretty much been there. We're following up with Canuck and what he's been up to since Maguma and Heart of Thorns, and that kind of gives us a look at to how the Sylvari are now being treated now that Mordred Moth has been defeated. Obviously in the past episodes we saw, they wanted us to step up from commander to the leader of the pact, and that just wasn't for us. So we politely declined that. And so it's tying up the loose ends that was left open from Heart of Thorns, and it's opening up the new stories that will be in Path of Fire, I assume. So we help Taimi with her game, her data, we oh my goodness, I just totally lost my train of thought. And then we end up seeing what this new power spike in the Ember Islands is about. And we see it's a very interesting story in how they set it up, right? So now we've got, you know, Bram up in the Frost area, Norn area, just going crazy on minions of Jormag, essentially. And, you know, then Taimi's like, well, we need to go investigate what's going on over here. So oh yeah, they're talking. Oh, that's right. So the Char came to talk to Ritlock about some stuff and some things. So he's, yeah. So it's just adding that other layer, which it's hard because they have to add these little details that'll come up later, but also they're doing a much better job of not getting too bogged down in the details. I do still very much miss the cutscenes. I do not like these little conversation bubbles. And in your text box at the bottom left that I always cover with my face cam, the text always shows up there, but it drives me crazy, the text bubbles. Like, you can't skip the text bubbles. Like, you can run away from them, but like, you still have to wait for the story to progress. Whereas in this cutscenes and stuff, like, you could skip those a lot easier. So I'm really not, I still don't like the change to the text bubbles, which I know they're probably not going to switch back, but I could hope, right? I know it's not, I know it's text bubbles to the end, but so yeah, we completed that. So have a wonderful day. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.